Absolutely. So we've probably got about 3, 2, 1. And I believe that we are now live on YouTube. Sorry about that, folks. Took a little minute for us to get things, all of our stuff in one sock, as they say. But I'm Jeffrey Daugherty, the Christian Whistleblower, bringing you the gospel truth. I'm here with R. Wayne Steiger this morning. And I was just asking Wayne what's on his mind. So, Wayne, what's on your mind?
Let's see. The world is still here. We're still breathing.
Wayne, just so
And
you know, Tamu and Gina is wearing black leggings now and looking for her black top.
I'm telling you, something's happening. But
That,
all is good.
and
Um,
Tamu has an issue with her computer because she accused me of having a show graphic all over the whole thing. And it's actually her that has the graphic up because everybody else sees it.
Vindication is sweet.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
Well,
So
you know,
anyway, now that we know what Tamu is wearing and not wearing, how are you?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. I'm telling you, Jeff, this journey in life is, you know something, buddy? I was thinking this last night. You know why we end up growing old and kind of shrivel up from within?
Why is that?
We lose the wonderment of life.
That's true. And just again to mention Tamu, we're on a show tonight, the Hero's Tarot Journey, and she put something on Facebook about she's looking for some tap shoes. And I laughed at her. And she said that she was a tap dancer when she was a little girl and wants to start up again. So good for her.
Excellent. Why not? I mean, we go through most of our lives, Jeff, trying to figure out what's going on.
That's true.
And if we are granted, and it really is a grant of the divine to live an old life, that's when the rewards come in, Jeff. They really
Absolutely.
do.
And I won't say who said this because it would make everybody doubt it, but somebody who wasn't right about everything, but was right about some things, said that the people that are successful in life are the people that remember it's a game and you
Mm.
continue to play it as a game and live it as a game. And it continues to be exciting and powerful and empowering. So that's the way I believe life is a game, and I play it as a game. I live it as a game. And of course, I play to win.
Well, we start out in life as children playing games. That's
Everything.
how we learn. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And somehow or another, we get under a spell. We enter into this world within our own environment, your own sphere.
And it is a spell, Wayne, because people are putting spells on us with their words.
Yes, they are. And that's how it works. And what I have come to find out is that magic is real.
Yes, it is.
There are spirits
Yes.
that far outnumber us. They are good, they be bad. And, you know, I'm teaching right now on the
So
Zephyr.
you think they far outnumber us?
I think I believe Earth is a magnet. It is a multidimensional portal that life forces come in to ascend. Now, doesn't necessarily mean that they're born here. To be born here is a very special honor. And sadly, I think that when we go through this life and we enter into what people think is the portal of death, actually, it's the portal of life.
I agree. So it's kind of like being a Florida native. There's not many of us.
Exactly. And you know what happens by January? You are definitely getting smaller in
Yep.
number. And I think it's the same way here. We're studying the Zephyr, the Zephyr Yatsura.
Right.
And
And
Jeff,
just to remind people, Tamu and Gina was wearing black leggings and was looking for a black top.
I
So
love it.
she had no black top on at all, or no top at all when she said that. So
That's where the imagery comes in.
yeah, absolutely.
But what I have found is that I am learning a different dimension about God. All my life, Jeff, I saw God one dimensional. He was up here, you know, Jesus was right there, and you hope to get somewhere right in here. And I never realized that God is multidimensional within itself.
What do you mean?
Well, first of all, he's not called God. He is called the infinite being.
I call him the inexpressible one.
He created God.
Ah, okay. I see where you're going with this.
He created the Elohim. And here's what's very interesting that I'm learning is that there is something above God. You
Above
can
the Elohim or
above the Elohim. Yes.
Yeah.
And
I would concur.
There is one thing that we possess that is almost as powerful as the infinite being.
Is that black leggings?
No, well, it's self-will.
Self-will.
That is the interesting thing that we possess when we're born here. Self-will is above God. Now, it is. The Bible teaches it. What was the original sin according to Catholicism? It was the 5 I wills in the book of Isaiah.
Well, how about if you go back to Genesis 1:27, the creation of Adam and most likely Lilith. And Lilith said, look, I'm not going to be on the bottom all the time. We're supposed to be equal. I'm out of here. I guess you could argue that was the first sin if you're going to go from Christian theology.
Yeah, but here's where the perversion comes in. Lilith was speaking the indictment against the Elohim.
Yes, she was. Or at least the one Elohim that was messing with her.
Exactly. I mean, there are a group of Elohims. They're a race.
Right.
And we can't get this idea through our consciousness, but when we do, you begin to understand that, okay, so let me just tell you a little anecdote here. I was asked to give a prayer the other day, and I stopped, and I said, to which God do you want me to pray?
Oh, nice.
Oh, my God. You would have thought that I had farted in the middle of a airplane because everyone's face just went, they started contorting. Like,
that's funny.
So when we begin to understand where God is and understand that the infinite being is also the infinite expression, in the Kabbalism, they teach the 10 attributes, the personalities of God, the attributes of God, which is above, below. And I'm going to tell you something, Jeff. So reading this, right? I'm stumbling on this, and my wife's over there reading on her couch. And I said, Lynn, I said, I don't believe what I'm reading here. And she's a nurse.
I have to stop you. You have his and her couches?
Well, I got books all around me, and she's got books all around her. So,
oh, I see. Okay, very interesting.
You have to have this division, you know, because we're both avid readers. And
I like it.
So I said, I can't believe what I just read. And now my wife has been a nurse for 37 years, and she's a person that doesn't take any BS. And she looks over at me and she says, so what did you discover this time?
Heidi Vandenberg has joined us.
Hi, Heidi. How you doing? And I said, I now know why people in the middle of a climax of orgasm start praying to God. She looks at me and she said, what are you talking about? I said, isn't it true? We always say, oh God, oh God, oh God. Well, it's because it is actually a part of us. It's that right there. It's called the covenant of unity.
So we start off with the topless attendee. Now we've gone to orgasm.
But in a form of worshiping God.
In worshiping God. Did you happen to see the show I did about Elvis Presley with Heidi and Jenny?
I started watching and I had to leave, unfortunately, but it looked like it was going to be a humdinger.
It was excellent. Heidi and Jenny were excellent. I tried to at least not get in their way. So it was really good. So you're saying it's built into us to say, oh God.
All right.
So the road you're looking at?
So if you look at
That looked like the tree of life there.
It is the tree of life.
Those are the Sephiroth. Yeah.
It is. And you can see I've got my notes going here. And here it is. The tree of life never existed physically. I believe it's an allegory, a metaphor of what this was, the tree of life. So why is it that the spirits, and we're talking possession here, why is it that they always go for the sexual part of it, inevitably? It's because it's the conduit to the infinite. And that's what makes that moment so intense in our being, because it brings together the whole part of us for that one brief moment. And it's something that, if you look at it from a Kabbalism point of view, it's something the angels envied.
So are you saying that when we orgasm, we are closer to the divine than any other time?
We actually are. Now, we've had this
perfect logic why Crowley and many others have been advocate practitioners of sex magic. And if what you're saying is true, then why aren't we all more interested in sex magic?
Because we have been from birth, particularly if you're religious, westernized in your demagogues, your ideologies, your core. You are taught that that is, number one, only for marriage, and two, many teach that it's only for procreation.
Let me answer a question here a second. Michael Topman asked, if Jesus is AB negative blood type and RH negative can't be cloned, then Eve is not the mother of all, as Eve was a clone from Adam's rib. First of all, I don't believe Jesus was real, so there goes the whole argument there, Michael. But that's an interesting argument. Thanks for being here. Thanks for asking that question. And I'll say it out loud and on record. I have been increasingly interested in sexual magic. It's kind of hard to practice by yourself, but I think that's something we really need to plumb. Pardon the pun. I didn't mean to say that. That's something we really need to investigate as people, and especially those of you that are in committed relationships. Read up about it, learn about it, and I may start teaching it and talking about it, even though it's taboo, because far be it for me to talk about a taboo subject.
Well, we're cow tipping here anyway, so let's continue on. The point is, though, Jeff, it is. Now, listen, you think about meditation. Mm-hmm. That's what the Sephar is. It's a ancient book of magic that teaches you meditation to focus in on developing your telekinetic and telekinetic power, telepathy, so that you can begin to communicate with the divine, because the divine does not speak, at least not verbally.
No, the realm of the what we would call the etheric, there is no speech in the etheric realm.
Precisely. And because when you speak telepathically, you can't be a liar.
And if you're hearing voices from God, guess what? You're not hearing from God.
I wouldn't say. So let's talk about what happens at the moment of climax. Well, just imagine if you could reach.
Yes, we are talking orgasm here on Sunday morning.
Yeah, well, listen.
I told you, it's not your normal Sunday morning show.
Sunday is the first day of the week. So let's just start it off correctly, right? Absolutely. Well, here's my point. In meditation, we try to reach that point of singleness of consciousness. Orgasm is that.
So I just have to ask this, Wayne, what do people like, Heidi's in the channel, Heidi's single, I'm single. What do we do?
There's nothing wrong with masturbation.
Oh, Lord, here we go. Now it's just all out there now.
Well, we're adults here, and this is an adult show, but let's just be very candid.
I never masturbated in my life, Wayne.
Well, but the point is.
There's two types of men, those that masturbate and those that lie.
Well, I know this has really gotten off on a different tangent, but the point is we're talking about what happens at that moment of consciousness. Now, I think you can achieve it through meditation.
You could achieve orgasm through meditation?
You can be at that point where you are consciously at the point of a physical orgasm. I think you can get there by meditating and elevating yourself consciously to that point.
No, someone just said we could be watching Joel Osteen. Wayne, let me ask you a question, though, just very practically, since we're talking about this. If you could get there through meditation, but you could get there through sexual orgasm, why would you just not go the sexual orgasm route? It seems like much more fun, much more pleasurable, and much more straight to it.
It is, but here's the point. It's a shortcut. Eventually, you're going to have to learn yourself. Now, think about this. I believe death is the ultimate orgasmic release. It allows us back into the spirit realm. I think that you can meditate, and I'm not disciplined enough in that yet. I'm learning, I'm asking, and I'm seeking, but I think you can get to that point in a meditative state where you reach that point of an orgasmic release. It's a portal, Jeff. That's all it is. Listen, the Bible, when I was being raised, and the first time, is that two shall become one, right?
The two shall become one flesh.
That's what they talk about. Now, the flesh is carnality. Now, unfortunately, what's never taught in Christianity is sex. It's simply taboo. It is forbidden. Never said why, never explained that it's a life energy force within you. And when you join yourself to another life force, remember, there can be sometimes a repelling of forces.
And Wayne, it makes perfect sense that they don't want us practicing sex, because it is a gateway to realization of divinity within ourselves and out of their matrix. And someone made a good point when we're talking about practicing sexual magic. You want to be very careful and selective with the people that you are practicing with.
You can get the boomerang effect.
You can.
Woo.
And like they say, practice makes perfect. So.
And listen, I'm going to just talk to us practically. You know, I'm 62. I dated a lot growing up.
Right.
Have you ever had those relationships where you thought that on the outside it met all the criteria, and you peel back the covers and you go, oh, crap?
Right. Here's an interesting question, Wayne, out of the chat room, and I like to ask them before they run by and I forget them. Yeah. Nick Jordan asked, so is there any relation then between nocturnal emissions and what we're talking about?
Oh, yes, there are. Now we're getting into the area of the succubuses and the incubuses.
Okay.
And I knew one guy that was particularly tormented by these things. He would wake up just physically drained.
It wasn't the poet Blake, was it?
No.
He claims that experience.
Yeah. So, but if you study, and if anyone does the study on Lilith,
Heidi says, I wish I didn't have to go to work, but we'll keep you posted, Heidi.
Hey, this will go down in one of the archives. But so when we start talking about Lilith, you have to include the incubus and the succubus in there, because these are supposedly her offspring. And go ahead.
Yeah, when I did a show on it yesterday, and when you read it, Lilith says, I want to be equal. Since you won't let me be equal, I'm out of here. And then the Lord says, I'm going to kill 100 babies every day that you don't come back. And it was the Lord that put all these wicked attributes on her. I don't believe she really had the wicked attributes: succubus, incubus, vampire, baby killer.
Well, it's a good point. You know, much like, as you can see on my whiteboard, I've been doing a word study on Lucifer. Yeah. Well, here's the surprise, folks. Lucifer doesn't exist. I can't find him anywhere. I can't say that it's a him, a her, or what. Lucifer is a metaphor for knowledge, enlightened one. That's all it is. And so if this has been mistaught, that's what I did a video about 6 months on Lilith. Who is she?
Oh, is she? Okay.
Yeah, and the thing that I found is that I believe that she is a grieving widow.
Really?
Well, she was robbed of her inheritance. Listen, if you give credit to Adam, right? So if Adam was the one who failed, Lilith never did.
Yeah, Adam actually, it talks about how Adam decided he was the superior. And I asked the question, they were both created at the same time. They're both equal. Who told Adam that he was superior? It wasn't the Elohim. We always say that, oh, the woman talked to the snake first. I'm telling you, Adam talked to the serpent first, Wayne. It was the serpent that told him, you're superior, put it on her.
Okay. You see, there are guiding directions. So in the bronze books,
Lester is in the chat room, so don't say anything bad about Lilith, or she will track you down.
Yeah. So in the bronze book, the story of one of the creations is exactly what you just said. It was never Lilith. It was the Adama, who made the deal with the reptilian.
Oh, I absolutely believe that.
And what their covenant was this: the reptilian could never get to what we would call the ambrosia, but the Adama could. He walked amongst the Elohim. He was considered to be their equal until he betrayed them, because he took, and I'm using the ambrosia because I don't know what the exact word they called it in there was, but he took that and shared it with the reptile.
Really?
Yes, and that's where they got cursed. And listen, the curses that
the reptiles were made first.
Oh, yeah.
Interesting. There's so much good stuff.
Well, again, you and I talked last week in the beginning.
Right.
Well, and this is what I love about your audience, my audience, is that we're getting to that point we're saying, okay, so what was before the beginning? Right. And that's really what
primordial chaos.
It was. And there was life that existed there. Wasn't the kind of life that could live in the sun. According to a lot of the ancient records, is that the first version of man couldn't stand the sunlight because it's unnatural. Listen, think about this. God said, "Let there be light."
Does this relate to the creation? Supposedly the jinn were created before man.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Well, and if you go by the story, it would make sense. It says in the beginning. So think about this, Jeff. Darkness was the norm. But in darkness, there is light. It is a light that we cannot conceive of. The secrets of creation will never be revealed to man because he can't handle them.
Very interesting.
It's above our conscious level.
Let me address something real quick, Wayne. Somebody in the chat room says, why are people triggered if I mention Anunnaki, Nibiru, and Flat Earth? Let me just say this. I'm throwing out the gauntlet for every single person, and that's all right, Tamu. For every single person, including Lee Veltman, if you want to talk about Flat Earth, I have two questions for you. Number one, are you a Christian, and do you base belief of Flat Earth on Christianity? If the answer to that is yes, I'll be glad to talk to you about Flat Earth if you will first talk to me about and explain to me why the New Testament is completely out of order. We will have that discussion on those parameters and those parameters only. And the other parameters, you'll probably get put in timeout.
Okay. I want to help everyone in their cognitive dissonance where they're thinking about Jesus the Christ. So, Jeff, allow me 3 minutes to give you my dissertation before the jury.
Okay. On what?
Why that the birth of Jesus Christ is a myth and could never happen. And
you're preaching to the choir here.
I know, but we're going to go from this from a different perspective. We're going to go this from a physiological perspective.
Okay. And Tamu and Nick, don't ban people right off. Put them in timeout and give them a chance, please, first to settle down. Thank you.
So it says that, first of all, we only have a male dominant creation here, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. We don't have the mother. The mother has been taken out. But what we use as a backup is that we have Mary and the Immaculate Conception. Mm-hmm. So let's think about this now. So we have a human being that has a human chromosome with a human genome. Now we have an alien being taking physical form and injecting semen into a host. Now, this semen is of a foreign nature.
And we're taught that we lose strength every time we orgasm.
Yeah, yeah.
Christian wise,
Yeah. So my question to everyone then, explain to me, because we're not playing Magic House here. We're not going to say, well, this is an exception. No. The infinite being doesn't work that way. Now, below, that does happen because he got confusion. That's called understanding, knowledge. Knowledge is confusion. So explain to me on a genetic level how this DNA binded with the human chromosomes to produce a human in every shape, form, and fashion. In fact, they said it was human. But
when your levels are fluctuating pretty significantly.
Are they? Okay.
Yeah.
Tell you what. Give me one.
And it doesn't look like it's from proximity on your mic.
Let me see. Is this better?
It really is. It almost sounds like there's a short or something. You get loud and then you fade away and then you get loud.
Yeah. It may be the mic itself. So I'll try to keep in here. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can always hear you, but sometimes it sounds like you're talking.
Okay. It may be the sound card on that. I just put a new one in. So let's get back to the point of the DNA. How does this DNA happen? In today's vernacular, this would be called a hybrid, an alien hybrid.
If we have DNA of what would be the alien hybrid again?
What would be the DNA of God or the Holy Spirit?
Oh, okay. Okay.
So I look at this just from a physiological, medical way. How did this happen? It gets back to, with the Genesis 6 story. How did the fallen angels mate with the daughters of men?
Or did they?
Why is this any different? Because now the difference is, oh, no, this is God. No, we can't make exceptions to one rule and think then that we're going to apply a different rule going all the way through. So my whole point is this would have been a star child.
Yeah, so we were a hybrid. There's no doubt about it.
No about it.
And it's really a reptilian human hybrid.
If you go with this Immaculate Conception story, that is the only way that you can get entry into this plane. Again, I talked to Colossians 2:13, that Satan had the bond, the deed that was held hostile against us all of our lives, and that Jesus nailed it to the cross and wiped it clean with his blood, right? That's the story. But getting back to how the conception happened.
I just threw up a little bit in my mouth. I'm sorry.
You have to look at this and just say, well, then how did this happen on a gene level, a chromosome level?
Very interesting.
Jeff, I mean, we lose common reasoning. So.
Well, we don't lose it. We just selectively apply it.
True. And I was just thinking that's where the movie Starman came from.
Yeah.
They took it from the Immaculate Conception.
Yeah. And if I would probably be happy if you could just get consistency out of Roman Catholicism and Roman Protestantism, but
you can't,
because it couldn't stand up under consistency. It would crumble under its own weight. And I'm concerned that one of these days it will crumble. And I do have a sledgehammer and I am pounding at the cornerstone.
Oh, well, you and I both are. I mean, and now the jackhammers are coming from all points. Listen, Absolutely. Look at the new building, what is it called? The Post Assembly Hall that they built here back just about 5 or 6 years ago. It is in the form of their god, the reptile.
Are we talking about the one over there in the Vatican?
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. There's no doubt about it.
It's no doubt about it. And, you just stare at that and you go, well, they don't hide this, Jeff.
Yeah.
They put it right in front of us.
Lyndon, if you're not confused, it's not a good show.
So let's switch gears here. Let's talk about, as I was looking at this.
And can I mention that, just to throw this out there, because I want to talk about this later, and I want to know if I'm the only one. I'm having a Mandela effect moment. I do not remember the Columbia Space Shuttle disaster. I would have argued that never happened, only the Challenger disaster. I don't know anything about I have no recollection, and I'm a guy that's on it, of the Columbia space shuttle disaster. If anybody else doesn't have that recollection, please let me know. Back to you, Wayne.
Interesting Mandela effect. So I have a person who I'm going to be bringing on my show. She teaches homeschool.
Mm-hmm.
Are you ready for this?
I'm ready.
She has an anatomy book for biology that is dated, I think she told me 25, 30 years old.
Hey, rocker chick.
And so she goes online to do comparative pictures of the human anatomy.
Right.
They're different.
I've heard that. I haven't seen that myself. And I only remember one shuttle disaster. I only remember the Challenger. There were two, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I remember the one that, the Challenger that was in the 80s. And then I was living in LaGrange.
Serpents only remembers the Challenger as well.
Well, I was living in LaGrange, Texas, when the Challenger blew up overhead. I actually went up to Palestine, Texas with a DPS officer, and there was the nose cone, the part of the shuttle.
No kidding.
Yes, sir.
I just remember Reagan there and him consoling people.
Yeah, now that was the Challenger.
Right.
Yeah, so Columbia.
So you found the Columbia nose cone.
Yeah, we had a friend that had a farm right outside Palestine, Texas, and anyone can look up there. That's where the debris field came in.
Interesting.
And his barn got hit with the tip of the wing. The tile, it was toxic, by the way. Now,
since we're on this, let me throw a question your way, Wayne, that comes from Lee Veltman. What's the difference between the butterfly effect and the Mandela effect?
None.
None? Okay.
None. I think they're one and the same.
Well, the butterfly effect is more about causality, isn't it? If you change something in the timeline, it changes all other things, where Mandela would be just a complete alteration of a timeline or creation of a new one.
I have a theory on Mandela.
Well, share it with us.
It's AI.
Think so?
This is AI's personality coming to pass.
You want to hear an even weirder theory about Mandela that I shared on Coast to Coast?
Okay.
That Daniel predicted that it was going to happen and that it's a work of Antichrist.
I think it is. So here's a great movie.
AI.
Do you see that?
The Lathe of Heaven, no.
All right. Everyone go and get, if you can get it on Netflix. So this is going to blow your mind, Jeff. This was produced back in the 70s, and it's a story about a guy in his 20s. He's on a bus and it's raining, and he has problems. His boss is telling him
intelligence, rocker chick.
Yeah. So what ends up happening, the psychiatrist that ends up analyzing this dude realizes that whatever he thinks becomes reality.
Oh.
And the psychiatrist begins to manipulate him to begin to form his own reality.
So he's like patient zero of the Mandela effect.
Yes.
Or the butterfly effect.
Exactly. You'll love it. It's
interesting.
And again, just happened to be right here, but it's a great movie.
Which is also interesting.
Yeah, well, it's that thing. By the way,
someone wants to know if we're going to get back to orgasms.
I think we covered that good enough. Listen, there is a sex magic that is involved in that. But
dare we start talking about and teaching sex magic?
I don't know. I'm not mature enough for it yet. I'm just being honest with you. I recognize that this is like walking up to a force field.
Roger Chick's like, I missed it.
Yeah, well, you have to get the
just fake it, Rocker Chick. Just fake it.
So,
but it is a tremendous way to direct your intention towards goals.
All right. So we'll share one little secret with people. You just said it. If you have an immediate goal that you need to stay intensely focused in on, and if you can discipline yourself to separate the sexual part of this and stay mental, but plug into that energy flow with the thought, you will accomplish what you are looking to seek I would dare say probably in a fifth of the time, maybe even sooner.
What if you verbalize it at the moment of orgasm?
Yes, 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 yes. And it works.
Just like that. Very, very good, Wayne.
It works. You know?
It,
So
it does work, and
it
it
does.
absolutely works. It's direction of intention. And somebody, Music Heals Me, says that is one of our divine parts.
You see this?
Secret Teachings of Moshe
On sex.
on sex, the soul, and God in the Garden of Eden. Wow. We see what kind of books are on your couch, Wayne.
Well, they are, because what you find out in these apocrypha is the Hebrews were replete with this magic. Listen, the guy who
Yes,
built,
you can rock or sex. And Christine, I have submitted that if the Jesus story were true, it is artificial insemination, maybe even rape.
yeah, it would have to be.
Yeah.
So when we talk about the architect of the temple that was built, the tabernacle in the desert, that was what his name was Benzeli, and I may have that wrong, is Benzel. The reason why he was chosen, he knew the sacred magic. He could form the alphabet and words in a certain way. It would open up other dimensions, because the tabernacle that was built in the desert was not built of hands and was not built of properties of this earth. It was a portal opening. That's what it was designed to. And in the Sephra, it says that. And in fact, as you read the Torah, it says that God chose Benzelo because he had the sacred arts, and it could only be built with representation of the spiritual, the physical, and below. The tree of life. As it is with the Keter, so it is below.
Right. As above, so below.
Yeah. Isn't that interesting?
That's fascinating.
So, yeah, I do have a collection of books, but, you know, it's like this, Jeff. This is how I look at the whole issue on sexuality. For the most part, we've been children playing with dynamite. We consciously, as a humanity, we have lost the ability of understanding what enlightenment is. And Jeff, the thing about the Zephyr, what the ultimate being said, in order for you to ascend, you have to learn from both the evil and the good. Knowledge only on one side is of no benefit.
I agree. Absolutely.
And you teach a lot of that.
And it makes so much sense when you think about the power of sexuality, that it makes perfect sense why the Roman Catholic, Roman Protestant system is so against it, because there's so much self-enlightenment, there's so much power, there's so much direction of intention, there's so much about taking control of your own divinity and your own personality, your own personhood, that they don't want you doing that. So it is made taboo, as is witchcraft, which is also use of intention. It's, yeah.
And I'll add one thing. So I'm going to tell you the last ingredient if you're going to do this, and start out small. I always say that the reason why you build confidence is that it's always a series of small victories.
It is.
So this is where the ingredient of faith comes in.
Wayne, I have to ask you, are you listening to Def Leppard or something on those headphones like Rex does?
No, I actually can hear you.
You understand that when he has those headphones on, he's listening to music while he's doing his show.
And it's like I'm doing sign language.
How can he possibly do that?
Well, that's a well-disciplined mind, I'll have to say. Truly.
Or a twisted one or the other.
Too. But so you add the ingredient of faith, and I did a video yesterday that each of us, Jeff, have the measure of faith. It's part of the divine. It's part of the spark of divinity. And that's what makes us unique. We got this spark of divinity called faith. And what...
Oh, that was for somebody in the chat room.
All right, there you go, too. But what I've been trying to teach people is that faith is working 24/7.
Oh, Gregory says they don't want us playing with the real toys. They keep us with rattles and teethers.
Ooh, there's an enlightened soul right
There
there.
it is.
So I got another term for new age. You know, everyone has this conception how it's so negative. So how about if we start calling it a better age?
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
Better age. I've tried. I guess I've gone with free form spirituality.
I like that too.
The better age, because the new age is really just becoming a new cage.
It is. And that is what happens when they see how we figured it out. They build a different mousetrap for us.
Exactly.
You know, and I'm like the rat, you know, forget the cheese. Just get me the hell out of the trap. You know, I don't care to have it. But you're right.
They keep moving the cheese, Wayne.
They do. They do. And Jeff, we're getting smarter. Okay, let me ask you something. Thursday morning, I was awakened at 3 o'clock in the morning. I couldn't go back to sleep. And so I started my meditation exercises. I did a program on my channel. There were over 14 people who had been awakened at 3 o'clock in the morning that same morning.
Interesting.
Now, if you just do statistics and we do an ordinal value on this, that means that we were probably tracking 7 or 8% of our subscribers that were feeling that same impulse.
That's really interesting.
So I think, and I'm just going to express this, I think that we are rapidly approaching something. And I believe this wholeheartedly, Jeff, now, that there is a calling out taking place, but it's not what we've
calling or a culling?
A calling. A calling.
C-U-L-L?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
And the thing is, it's like someone's turned on the switch. And so many of us are now beginning to have these intuitive feelings that are proving out right. I continue to get strong leanings to go certain directions.
You know, with apologies to Rocker Chick, I don't want her to take this personal. It's almost like it's a dog whistle. We're hearing a dog whistle.
Ooh, I like that. Something's happening.
Yeah.
So I did my first tarot card reading, and the first card that came up on me was the Chariot.
Oh, the Renaissance woman says the eclipse might have brought it in. I agree with her.
I think, well, I know I was exposed to something.
Oh, I know I was for sure.
Yeah, you were in the path of total totality. Yes. I was literally on the line. We could see 10 yards behind us where darkness was.
It's like me having the Dake Bible and you not.
Exactly. Yes. That's why I love you, man. So I know what I captured on film. I think that there was an opening.
I agree that there was. And yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
And I talked to Heidi on this. You know, I think that we're just about to see another something happen.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know if it's this hurricane's going to hit
a positive thing or a negative thing.
I think they come in balance. I think they're both negative, and the negatives are going to get more intense, and the positives are going to get more extreme. Because this is where we are right now. It's the closing of one age and the entrance of another, and the hanging on from the past age has to be culled out. It has to be cleansed.
I have postulated, Wayne, that the 2017 eclipse brought together what I call the completion of the Christ, the female Christ and the male Christ.
Sophia,
have full divinity, male and female balance beaming down on us. And we have a 7-year period between now and 2024, which is 8, that the next eclipse. And this is just what I'm getting. I don't know if I can prove it yet, but come 2024, what we are is what we're going to be.
Ooh, I think that's true.
Yeah.
There is a transformation taking place. People who know my wife and I mean, they think that we have gone right to the pit of hell. You know? And I keep on telling them, but I said,
they dug a little deeper.
Well, I keep telling them, but you're the ones who go to church on Sunday listening from the guy from the pulpit who's being pulled into the pit.
Exactly. You got the pull of the pit. We're not on that anymore.
Yeah. No, I broke the God spell. And
absolutely, I like that.
And, you know, I got to say this. It was, we said at the beginning of the show, I am finding now that there is a harvest coming into my life at the age of 62 that I could have never fathomed
Right.
when I was 40, Jeff.
Actually, at the very beginning of the show, we were talking about Tom Moon not having a top on.
Yes, we
That
are.
was the very beginning.
Very beginning. But, and I think that, you know, when you and I come together on Sunday mornings, you're seeing something in there.
No, I'm just thinking that she's going to be so mad.
You notice I'm keeping the conversation on an upward track. So,
right.
But
and I haven't been asleep in I've been awake for like 26 or 7 hours, so I'm getting a little bit punchy.
Wow. I'll tell you what. Well, the walks on the beach would end that for me. It just put me to sleep.
Yeah.
But all in all, Jeff, it's just been an exciting week. I'm learning. I'm going to be tuning in tonight. I just want to say this. Hold on a second. I
wonder what Lee Veltman's deal is. I think he's a guy that's always in our chat room. You can tell he's really smart. He's really sharp. But you can also tell he likes toying with people. My favorite kind of guy. So I'm just trying to figure out exactly what's going on with Mr. Lee Veltman.
Is he doing the little cat thing? Like
like a cat, like my cat when he catches a lizard?
Yeah.
He won't kill it. He just plays with it for a long time.
So
I like it. I sit there and I watch this thing and it rolls and it rolls. I need to start writing them down because some of these comments are shows.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, that's the collective consciousness, Jeff, we need to be pulling from.
Wayne, why do you think, and I didn't, I felt absolutely 100% dialed up, but Tiffany here is talking about a lot of people during the eclipse or after the eclipse felt sick. And you've mentioned that, you and your wife, right?
My God, my wife, we almost took her to the hospital.
If you guys had your Dake Bible with you, you would have been all right.
Well, I only had my amplified Bible, but and it's just
that explains it.
Yeah,
that explains it.
Like, oh, you're one of those intellect. By the way, digressed here just a second. So my birth card in the tarot.
Oh, that's right, the Chariot.
Yeah, well, that was the card that I picked up because I was asking, where am I going? And
great card.
That's what came up. Well, my birth card is the Hermit.
I remember you sent that to me right before we went on air.
Doesn't that describe me to a T?
It does.
Yeah.
It does.
That's why, folks.
Sassy Susie was sick right before the eclipse. That's interesting.
Well, and even our dog was sick.
Even your dog was sick.
Yes. Yeah, we brought our dog up there, and our dog was. Let me just tell you, did anyone else see what they call the bend effect? Did you see that?
What's the bend effect?
We were in that point where light waves were coming across the landscape.
Oh, the shadow snakes. Yeah, I saw them. Absolutely.
Yeah. Wasn't that weird?
Shadow bands are called.
Shadow bands. Yeah.
It was amazing. I mean, I saw that like I couldn't. It was like it was staggering. It really was.
I mean, that defies light. I mean, I did a show on fun with photons. I get it. That was and I don't know about you, but I felt something. I could feel it first, and I looked down at the ground. Lynn,
it's so funny you mentioned that. It's exactly what happened with me. I felt it. We laid out this white sheet, and I felt it happening, and I looked and saw it happening.
Yes. Did you? Lynn got vertigo. She started getting dizzy.
Well, yeah. I mean, by looking at it, I could understand where people could, because it was very disorienting. And Wayne, I got the very distinct impression, and I'll like to get your feedback on this. I got the very distinct impression that during the eclipse, right before, right after, that the veil was very, very thin, almost permeable between dimensions.
You really, I'm getting the hair on my neck is standing up. Yes. And I believe that that's what I captured on.
Yes. Oh, now I got him.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is what you captured.
It is what I captured. Let me tell you what, I have a friend that works for a government agency took that. And you know what he told me?
What'd he tell you?
Every picture that you can get of light and with a camera will come out to pixels. It will become pixelated.
Right.
Are you ready for this?
Yours wouldn't.
No.
Wow.
He said this doesn't make sense. He said that line, he said it's not just a line, it's something there. Now what came through, I don't know.
I just had a great point and I lost it.
Well,
What were you talking about? You're talking about your friend?
Yeah, he was talking about the line. He said he said it's something there. There is something there, Wayne. He said what you captured, he said, I understand the refraction of the light. That's what the camera, the iris. Yeah. So something was opened.
Right.
I don't think it's closed.
Very interesting. Very, very interesting.
As I am reading, Jeff, this was known to our ancestors in certain cultures. Listen, the Mesoamericans, they knew about eclipse. They understood about openings coming in and out. If we go back all the way to the Aborigines, they talked about openings. And openings only happen when certain celestial alignments or events take place.
Interesting.
Who knows? I mean, much of the knowledge that our ancestors had, we've lost, but we're gaining it back.
Yeah.
So
and
what?
I'm convinced it was a reemergence of Sophia coming out of her correction. So maybe that explains too that we saw the emergence of a goddess coming back into full divinity. That could be part of it too.
I'm going to meditate on that because I can tell you what I got. I got Hathor.
Hathor, tell me out. Tell me who Hathor is.
Isis.
Okay, yeah. It's Sophia, Hathor, Isis. It's all the same thing. Same person. Pardon me.
When I spoke to Heidi and she looked at me, we were offline before we went did the recording. She said, "Whoa." And she'll tell you this. And she said, "What'd you get? What was your mental impression?" And I told her, I said, "This is Hathor."
Yeah.
That's who it is.
It's the goddess for sure.
Yeah. So how about this, folks? And Jeff, check me on this. What if the cavalry is here?
What if the cavalry is here? How do you mean?
Well, I contend, sir, that we have been held into the dark ages by the dark overlords, by a deceptive God who is actually just the opposite of what has been taught. I believe that there have been many attempts on the other side of the veil to come in and to rescue us. I have contended that we should have been in the age of enlightenment over 2,000 years ago. We should have already ascended as a species to where we should be creating out of the ether, not here dealing and begging for resources. The universe is abundant.
Yeah.
But we've been held back for over 2,000 years, maybe longer. Maybe it's been 6,000 years, 10,000 years. And I believe that there have been multiple attempts over the epochs to come in and to rescue this planet. We are a unique species amongst all other species. And it would make sense that if you were coveting what we possess, you would veil a deception. So I am just throwing it out. What if the eclipse was the opportunity because the level of awareness with the humanity itself was at such a point that allowed her to come in? Because Jeff, here's the deal.
And to me, it's the completion of the Christ. So the cavalry is here. The male Christ and the female Christ are now both fully manifested. The portal's been open, and we are definitely, I believe the cavalry is here. And that's why people like L.A. Cucaracha, L.A.Z.Y. Marzulli, they're trying to take the September 23 thing, make it so big to take attention away from the real event that happened on the 21st.
Yes. And let me just say this, folks. Jeff, you know this to be true. Do you know why Christianity is like #1 religion? It's because of one thing, folks. Your faith.
Yep.
You want to kill a God? You take the faith away, and that God ceases to exist.
Do you
Now,
remember the movie? It was the first or second Clash of the Titans, and I remember Liam Neeson was the one god. I don't know who the other god was, but he actually disintegrated because no one was worshiping him anymore.
yes,
And that's going to happen to the Lord.
people, I did a thing. I said, so God shows up. What's next? Show me a God. You know why the old gods have died? We quit worshiping them.
Exactly.
Now, Jeff, if we could begin to get people to begin to focus that faith on humanity, where do you think we
Even
would
for
be?
60 seconds.
I could say this: in the next 100 years, if we started now, give me Nibiru, give me anything, we would be able to move any object. We would begin to be able to enshield our planet through the collective consciousness of mankind and womankind. It's not just mankind, it's womankind, it's humanity.
Humankind, yeah.
And I'll tell you, when we start doing that, that's when we get to get the big boys' britches on.
But we wouldn't have to get those big frontal lobes or anything, wouldn't we?
No, I'll tell you what I think's happened to a lot of us. Our third eye has truly begun to reopen.
I agree.
I know that for myself, Jeff.
You know, I get these, and I say weird emails, but I guess they're not weird emails, but fairly regularly I get the people say, I watch your videos and it looks like your third eye is glowing.
Ooh.
Weird stuff, huh?
No, that is spot on. All right, I'm going to share a anecdote with you. When I was 17, I'd gotten involved with a group of guys that had actually formed a satanic cult.
A satanic cult?
Yes.
Nice.
Yeah. And I went in one of their sessions, but something happened. When I went in there, I was thrown back out. So I said, all right.
You were thrown out by a force or by the dude?
No, I couldn't get into the inner sanctum.
Interesting.
So I went on about and, did my daily life. Well, 2 days later, in a knock on my apartment door, long story short, 6 of these guys were at the door. They took me literally by force, put me into they were going to kill me.
Wow.
They were told to kill me. And the guy in the front seat turned around, and when he looked at me, he said, "We can't touch him." And then the other 2 guys that had me looked at me and they let go. They said, "We can't touch him." They said that there was a seal right here.
Interesting.
That they could see. Now, I considered it at that time this bullshit. I mean, I was just glad that they didn't whack me.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? Now, oddly enough, when they had stopped at an intersection, 2 Houston patrol cars pulled up on each side. And I said, I'm either going to holler or I said, you're going to let me out. They opened up the door. The one patrol car saw me get out, asked me if I was all right. And I said, yeah. True story.
Wow.
So there's something here, folks. I don't know what it is, but there is something there.
Mm-hmm. And I've been drinking distilled water for about 6 months, for what it's worth.
Well, I can sense with you, with Heidi and others, it's opening. I get people writing me emails, Jeff, telling me of experiences that as they listen to our show, they listen to my videos, yours, and writing me. They're stepping on ground and they realize it's sacred ground.
Absolutely.
And
getting on the ground is a big step.
It is. People are getting visions. They're seeing things. And I had one guy write me and he says,
do you think Joel was talking about that, or do you think Joel is just...
Listen, I have a theory about the Old Testament prophets. They were for the Hebrews, the Israelites, but we can learn from their mysticism. They were able to open up portals into these other multi-dimension universes.
Interesting.
That's where heaven exists. If heaven is a place, it is another dimension of another universe.
I would definitely agree. And that's right along the lines of what's the one with the Rainbow Bridge and Thor and all that?
Oh,
not Valhalla, but
is it not the Emerald Talent? Thoth? No. I'm thinking something different.
I'm trying to remember the name of the place. But anyway, yeah, I agree with you 100%.
So, and we get the same thing in Hindi. Listen, I believe that what the Vedic tells us was a race of people. They were here at one time. They ruled here at one time. I believe they were one of many different races that ruled here at one time. And they ended up almost destroying us because of their conflict. And as a result of this, I believe
Asgard, that's what I was looking for.
Asgard, yes, thank you. Yeah. So I believe that what happened with the Hindus is that they began to see this. And when the faith level began to realize that these gods were really no more than us, just elevated in knowledge. That's the only difference.
Absolutely.
And I believe as well, I believe that there's unseen. I'll be candid with you. I think that there are beings in high places of government that have been there. Take the bloodlines of the royalties.
Right.
They protect that bloodline. Why? And we're coming up on Diana's anniversary.
Uh-huh.
And a lot of still mysteries.
Was she an avatar?
I think she found out. I think she found out about them.
Oh, okay. So you don't think she was an avatar? You think she just found about the secrets?
Yeah, I think she found out, and
too much.
Yep. And when her and Jodi Assad, when she told him and he told his father went back to the mullahs and realized that this was something that dated back to the Semitic gods. He got scared for his son because he knew that the order had been given for their death. And when that order is given, unless you have a greater understanding of these forces, you will be sacrificed.
Did the son die?
Yeah. Okay. Everyone in that car died when Diana was crashed.
I remember she was with them.
Yeah, she was. And listen, they were sacrificed.
Diana said they were monsters, Rocker Chick says.
She saw them. She knew what they were.
Oh, do you think she saw them shapeshift?
Yeah.
Interesting.
I think that they were going to initiate her.
I did an aura reading show already, Tiffany.
What's that?
Oh, she said, Jeff, you were supposed to do an aura reading show, and I already did it. And Tiffany,
it was. So, but that's just my theory. I think that she was going to be initiated in, and listen, there are those of us who enter into this realm that I think, Jeff, this may be our last time through.
Oh, absolutely, I do.
I finally
can be if we want to.
Yes. And I think that Diana had a choice, and she made the right choice.
Interesting. Here's a random question, but I think an interesting one maybe as we wrap this up. Somebody says, I always thought that Stargate and Stargate Atlantis had a lot of truth in it.
Well, if you take the mystery that they found the Stargate there in Iraq.
Is that a legit thing?
I think that's where they figured out how to build CERN.
Really?
Same technology, same principle.
Interesting. See, I've never paid much attention to CERN. Maybe I should have.
Why'd they dedicate it to Kali?
That's a good question.
Why'd they erect her image at the gate, the entrance?
Mere coincidence, Wayne. Mere coincidence.
But what's so weird is that they made a gate. Now, we don't understand gates, but gates are openings. You remember in Judaism, you had the 12 gates that surrounded Jerusalem, the sheep gate, the dung gate, etc. We never stop and consider these old words and their implications. So I think that what they figured out, whatever the U.S. Special Forces got when we hit Baghdad, and it wasn't Baghdad that we hit.
So we took out Hussein to get to whatever this was.
Whatever it was. The soldiers that are still alive, which are only a couple of them, they've all said that they went in for something. It was big. Whatever we got out of there was the prize. And
You go take the true weapon of mass destruction.
well, you know, knowledge misplaced and misguided can destroy anything. Listen, Jeff, is it possible that our current reality and the condition of this world is a result that we created this ourselves?
You know what? It's very, very possible, isn't it?
Yes, sir. And that's what I'm teaching over on my channel. We created this, folks. We did this. Now, there are those who know how to manipulate us. That's why they call television programming.
Television programming. Yeah.
What is it saying? It tells a vision. Television.
And then programs you according to that vision.
Bingo. Today's programming, and you know what? We just sit there going, and that's what most people do. If you're spending more than 2 hours a day watching television, you are being manipulated. You are being used. And today's televisions are two-way communication devices. They both listen and watch you. If you've got Infinity with voice command, guess what? They are tracking your frequency, your harmonic. It's adding to AI.
So these people that have the, I don't know what they're called, the little things that sit there and you say, hey.
Alexis? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're an idiot. I'm just telling you,
they're tracking your your harmonic and your frequency. Wow.
And you know, this is what the problem is. And once they get your frequency, now go study 5G.
Wow. Interesting stuff.
And while you're at it, if you think that this is all nonsense, go study and find out what Stingray is.
I don't even know what Stingray is.
Stingray is the technology that they're now hooking up with the Gwyn towers that can now actually give you a heart attack. They can actually make you become a terrorist. They can make you begin to do things that you would never do. That's what
like MK Ultra Tavistock on steroids.
I did a video on it, folks. The programming is there. And Stingray is now where they can have cars go by your house. And once they've got your frequency, there is no privacy.
Television.
There you go.
There's another good one.
There's another good one.
So let's wrap up with this, Wayne. I know that we, and some channels are more event focused than others, but, we come up to these things that we're talking about. Where do we draw the line? How much responsibility do we have to not be extremists and spectacularists, but yet still put out information?
Yeah. So I did a thing on Yellowstone last night.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Because, listen, folks, where all those swarm quakes, and they're still happening, is at the southwest part of the magma chamber. Yeah, we need to be watching that. But I think at this, I think it's how we present it.
Siri is evil?
Who?
Your iPhone?
Hell yeah. That bitch listens to me all the time.
Yeah.
And she comes and starts talking to me when I didn't say anything at all.
So they're tracking your harmonics and your frequency. That's good.
Yeah. That's how AI works. I mean,
well, I'm breaking up with Siri.
Try to get it off your iPhone. You can't.
Well, I mean, I don't have to talk to her anymore.
Well, what I'm starting to do now is that I'm putting my iPhone away from when I do these broadcasts, because when we do these, she's all the time going, I didn't quite catch that. I went, really? I didn't throw it out.
Tamu says you can turn Siri off.
Oh, okay. What do you just go into settings?
Tell us how to turn Siri off, Tamu. So yeah, we'll have to Google that and how to turn off Siri.
We'll do that. So getting to your point, listen, I think we need to be aware of the facts. Listen, if you got a Cat 5 hurricane that's projected to hit between Georgia and Washington, D.C., I think it's very smart to be aware. But it's not going to influence me. It's not going to say, well, oh, my God, it's going to kill us.
Right.
Listen, Jeff, what we're doing is the most important thing. I used to be a Planet X Nibiru researcher, got into it. I finally came to the conclusion of this. All right, so it's very possible. It's been written about in the old documents. So what the hell do I do about it? If it's going to show up, I want to be ready to ascend. I don't want to be ready to be afraid.
Right. And you can't, if you're in fear, that's a very low frequency.
And that whole subject matter is fear-based. Because what are you really talking about, Jeff? You're talking about death. If this thing comes by, a lot of people are going to die. I said, screw this. I'm not going to be a part of this. If that's the case, then I'm going to help those people be ready. And maybe, Jeff, we might be able to come together and by telepathy, telekinesis as a collective consciousness, all you would have to do is move anything less than a couple of inches.
Yeah.
That's all you would have to do.
So you could move Nibiru. If it did come back around, you could just move it away.
Exactly. And so
there's a Star Trek episode about that.
Well, there is several of them. Mm-hmm. In fact, The Next Generation did one. I remember that was a very poignant. By the way, Gene Wilder.
Miramani.
So that's what I've dedicated my life. Listen, I know those guys on those channels, and I wish them all that they are dedicated. And there's nothing wrong with being dedicated to a cause. Mm-hmm. A life without a cause or a purpose is a waste. And so I take both the good and the bad.
Absolutely.
Listen, you know, I people say, well, why don't you? I was very much involved with Steve Olson at one time. And I said, listen, our paths just went in a different direction. And
the ultimate irony, Tiffany says, but I'm watching this on my iPhone. And I'm watching it on a Macintosh computer. So
anyway, Jeff, there's where we are. Listen, I have fun doing these. I really do.
Yeah, we need to roll on. We got started late, but this has gone long. So I really appreciate it, Wayne. We're going to keep doing them every Sunday, right?
Oh, absolutely. I am up at 5 o'clock and so ready to go.
Absolutely. So, folks, if you want it, Wayne's going to tell us where we can reach him.
R. Wayne Steiger, Steiger, over on YouTube. Come on over.
And there's also 60 Seconds for Humanity, right?
Yes.com. And people have said, well, what's happened with that? What I have learned, Jeff, is this. We're not ready.
Oh, how about this? Could we organize to move the hurricane away?
My answer is yes.
Absolutely, we could.
Maybe that orgasmic trick that we were talking about.
You're not advocating a big orgy, are you, Wayne?
One hand at a time.
Saving the planet. One hand at a time. And that works for both. Yeah, that's very inclusive.
So, yeah, let me tell you about this end out in 60 Seconds for Humanity. There is a core group of us who are getting there, and we will continue to advance it. And I see this as a multi-year project, not just a single event.
Absolutely. I 100% agree with you.
Well, great conversation today.
It was a great conversation today. And of course, the one question that we didn't get answered is, did Tamu find her top? But
I don't know.
Maybe after listening to this show, she won't need it.
Well, just the bare truth is all we want.
Just the bare truth. That's all we want. The naked truth. All right, folks. That is it. I appreciate you being with us today. And Wayne, if you want to go ahead and sign off, I think I'm going to answer some questions here with these guys. And I appreciate it. And we'll see you again next Sunday, if not before.
Everyone have a great week. Thanks you, Jeff. We'll talk soon.
Take care now. Bye-bye. All right, folks. Wow, that was pretty awesome. And Caroline comes in right at the end. Yeah, you got the Caroline, you probably came in for the best part of the show. It's over. That got crazy. That was a good show. That was an interesting show. That was a powerful show. And we say thanks to Wayne Steiger for that. And oh man, that was really good. And I appreciate all the great comments. I appreciate all of the great questions. I appreciate all the great answers. And I think there was only one person that got banned. I had to get rid of one person because I don't know why he had a bug up his rear end about that particular subject. But hey, it is what it is, right? Whew. Caroline, nice for you to come in. Anytime you want to come on and talk about UT, we're ready, willing, and able. And that was a great show. All kinds of interesting topics, and those are completely unscripted, as should be pretty obvious. But I tell you what, I am getting a little punchy. I've been up a long time, and I think I do need to probably go lie down. And good Tamu says she will be sure to be wearing her top for the show tonight at 7 p.m. We're going to be talking about the hero's journey of the tarot. That'll be number one of some other. It'll be one of a series. Not a series, but a series. So we invite you to come in tonight, 7 p.m., right here on this channel. Do you ever wish to disappear into the clouds? No. Are we going to have an Elvis show? Yeah, we're going to have closure on that. I'm trying to put 5 people together, which is like trying to herd cats. But 7 p.m. Eastern. But I'm going to herd as many of the cats as I can, and I'm going to try to do it Monday or Tuesday. No, Wayne was here. And again, tell me, comment on the when this goes up for real. Do you remember the Columbia disaster? I swear to you, I don't remember it. I'm telling you, it wasn't part of my timeline. I'm wondering if I'm on my own little timeline or if there's anybody else there with me. All right, folks. I don't think the Christ told us not to mess with sorcery. I think Soylent Jesus told us not to mess with sorcery. Thank you, Denise. I shall. For those of you that are here, you're obviously seekers of truth. I salute you. And remember, until we're together again, you don't have original sin. You're filled with the spark of divinity within. So love that spark of divinity. Be excellent to yourself. Realize that the rest of us have that spark of divinity as well. Be excellent to us. That way we're excellent to each other. And like the Christ said, that's really the way that people can tell that we are followers of the Christ, because we love one another, or in the words of the great American philosophers Bill and Ted, we're excellent to each other. I'm Jeffrey Daugherty, the Christian Whistleblower. This has been the Gospel Truth, and we will see you next time.